First, we'll talk about some safety warnings. Follow the correct procedures. Shooters and helpers must wear hard hats. Keep non-essential people well away from the shot point, both members of the public and personnel. Keep cap lines shorted together at all times when it is not safe to fire the shot. Only connect cap lines to the BoomBox 3 when it's safe to fire the shot. Never press the arm or charge switch on the BoomBox 3 unless it's safe to fire the shot. Only shoot when ready and safe. Observe local safety regulations. Do not shoot in stormy weather. Do not fire shots close to power lines without ensuring that there is no possibility of cap wires coming into contact with the power lines. Do not shoot close to high power radio transmitters. After the shot, make sure all charges have been detonated. Keep a record of any shots which were not able to be fired. They must be disposed of safely. Next, we'll talk about some specific radio mode safety warnings. Whenever the decoder unit is connected to the blasting cap or whenever a radio is used, there is potential for the cap to detonate at any time. The unit is designed to only fire when it has been charged and a valid start code has been received from the encoder. However, there is a chance that the unit could accidentally fire due to RF noise or hardware failure. For this reason, shooting near high-powered radio transmitters, power lines, or during stormy weather should not be done. Next, we'll move on to receiving the GPS position. This process can be done manually by either the observer via source link, or by just clicking on the desired shot point on the map, or input manually by the shooter using the web interface. Here we can see the observer in source link picking which shot point they would like to do next, manually. You can pick any source points that have been loaded into SourceLink already. Alternatively, we can see that the nearest source point has already been picked for us, but the shooter can pick a different shot point manually using this method via the web interface. If a GPS position is taken and the source points have been uploaded into SourceLink, the line and station information will be assigned to the nearest source point automatically as soon as the shooter sends the ready message, making this the easiest way to shoot in standard radio mode instead of picking your next source points manually. Once at the shot point, the shooter can lock in the GPS position of the shot point. Locking in a GPS position is not absolutely necessary to shoot a point in standard radio mode like it is in autonomous mode, but if you want SourceLink to automatically assign line and station information for each shot point, a GPS position is required. Here we can see locking in the GPS position by pressing the GPS button. We see a green LED there indicating that we have a valid GPS position, and we can see on the display it says GPS lock. Once the GPS position is locked in, the shooter must connect the blasting cap wires and the uphole geophone to the unit. Grab the wires connected to the blasting cap and retreat to a safe distance. When it's safe to shoot, connect the wires to the high voltage ports on the unit. Place the uphole geophone in the ground and connect it to the unit. You see here connecting the uphole geophone and connecting the blasting cap wires to the high voltage ports. In order to fire a shot, the resistance of the uphole geophone and the blasting cap must be tested. Test the resistance of the uphole geophone by pressing the test button. Test the resistance of the blasting cap by pressing the arm switch and the test button at the same time. The results of the test will show up on the display after each test. So here we have testing the resistance of the uphole geophone, pressing the test button, and we can see that the resistance is at 220 ohms. Next, we'll test the resistance of the blasting cap by pressing the arm and test buttons at the same time, and we can see on the display that the resistance of the blasting cap is at 3 ohms. If all tests are satisfactory, the shooter either calls in to the observer to say it's safe to shoot, or the arm and charge switches can be pressed together, which will send an automatic ready message if enabled. Now we'll go over the firing sequence for the shooter. In order to detonate the blasting cap, the internal capacitor needs to be charged by pressing the arm and charge switches together until the display says the unit is charged. Once the ready message is sent over the radio to the encoder, the observer will press fire, sending a start code over the radio to the shooter's decoder. The decoder will then fire the shot if the capacitor is charged. The decoder will send a shot status message over the radio back to the encoder. So here we have arm and charged. We hear the ready message going over the radio. We see that it's armed and charged and ready to fire. We can hear the start code come over the radio there, and then the third sound you hear is the shot status message going back to the encoder. Now we'll look at the observer's firing sequence. When the observer receives the ready message, they will press fire and then confirm the shot. This causes the encoder to send a start code over the radio, which will make the decoder fire the shot if it is armed and charged. The shot status message will show up in the PFS graph in SourceLink. So here we see the ready message coming over from the decoder. The observer presses fire and then confirms. And then we can see the PFS showing up here. And that's the shot status message that was sent from the decoder to the encoder. The shooter must hold the arm and charge switches together until the shot status message is sent from the decoder to the encoder over the radio. This can take up to 5 seconds. And then the arm and charge switches can be released. The shot information can be viewed immediately on the web interface as well as on SourceLink. However, this information is still stored on the internal memory of the unit and must be downloaded from the decoder unit. For help with that, please refer to the video outlining that process.